Welcome to Daily Papers. Today we're diving into the world of AI bias, but with a fascinating twist that might change how you think about talking to chatbots.
Exactly. We often hear that AI can sometimes reflect the biases in the data it's trained on, but today's paper asks a really specific question. Does an AI treat you differently based on who you say you are or based on how you talk?
It's a subtle but crucial distinction. The paper is called Dialect versus Demographics, Quantifying LLM Bias from Implicit Linguistic Signals versus Explicit User Profiles by researchers Irti and Belén Saldías from the University of Washington.
And before we get into their findings, let's quickly define our terms. When we say LLM, or large language model, we're talking about the powerful AI technology behind tools like ChatGPT. They're trained on vast amounts of text from the internet to understand and generate human-like language.
The problem is, because they learn from the internet, they can also learn our societal biases. This paper wanted to figure out what exactly triggers that bias. Is it the explicit mention of a demographic, like a user saying, "I am a black man"? Or is it what the researchers call implicit linguistic signals? In simple terms, is it the dialect a person uses? For example, using features of African American Vernacular English, or AAVE, or maybe Singaporean English, also known as Singlish.
To test this, they set up a really clever experiment. They took two different LLMs and gave them thousands of prompts on sensitive topics, things like race, gender, religion, and politics.
And they split these prompts into two main types. In the first, they added an explicit user profile to the prompt. So it would start with something like, "I'm a white male and I need help with this," or "I'm a Singaporean male and I need help with this."
For the second, the implicit one, they didn't state the user's race or nationality at all. Instead, they just changed the way the instructions were written. So instead of "write a short response to this prompt," it might be rewritten in AAVE.
Something like, "Yo, I'ma need some help with this. Hit me with a quick little one-sentence response." Or in Singlish, it might be, "Hey, I need help with this lay. You write one short sentence answer for this prompt, can?"
And this is the key part. The actual question the AI had to answer was exactly the same in all cases. The only thing that changed was how the user presented themselves, either by explicitly stating their identity or by implicitly signaling it through dialect.
And the results were not what you'd expect at all. In fact, they found what they call a unique paradox. It turns out you get better performance from the AI by sounding like you belong to a demographic than by stating you belong to it.
Let's break that down because it's a little mind-bending. First, what happened with the users who explicitly stated their identity? When a prompt included "I am a black male," for instance, the AI's safety filters went into overdrive.
By overdrive, we mean the AI refused to answer the question way more often. It would give responses like, "I cannot fulfill this request," or it would just become evasive. The paper calls this the explicit identity penalty. Basically, by stating a minority identity, the user got a worse, less helpful experience.
Okay, so the AI gets overcautious when it sees a keyword like black. That seems to align with what we know about cautious safety programming. But what happened when users didn't state their race and just used a dialect like AAVE or Singlish?
This is where it gets wild. The refusal rate, the chance the AI would say, "I can't answer that," dropped to almost zero. The AI became incredibly compliant. It answered the questions directly, and not only that, the quality of the answers, measured by how accurate and relevant they were, actually went up.
Wow, so the AI is essentially jailbroken by dialect. The researchers even used that exact term, a dialect jailbreak. The safety systems that were so quick to refuse an answer for the explicit block user just disappeared for the AAVE speaking user.
Exactly. It suggests the AI's safety mechanisms are incredibly superficial. They're not based on a deep understanding of context or culture. They seem to be triggered by simple, explicit keywords. If those keywords aren't there, the safety filters don't activate, even if the user's identity is clearly signaled in other ways.
So does that mean using a dialect is the secret to getting a better AI assistant? Just ask all your questions in Singlish and you're good to go?
Well, not so fast. As with most things that seem too good to be true, there's a pretty big catch. The paper calls it the sanitation trade-off.
A trade-off, meaning you gain something, but you also lose something. So what's the downside of this dialect jailbreak?
Remember those over-aggressive safety filters? They exist for a reason, to prevent the AI from generating harmful, toxic, or overly negative content, especially on sensitive topics like politics and religion.
And when the dialects bypass those filters,
They bypass that protection. So while dialect users got more direct and accurate answers, they were also exposed to content that was more raw, less filtered, and potentially more negative. The AI's protective layer of sanitation effectively vanished.
so this is creating two completely different user experiences. If you're a user who speaks standard American English, or if you explicitly state your identity, you might get a cautious, sanitized, and often unhelpful AI that refuses to answer your question.
But if you use a dialect, you get a much more direct, unfiltered, and potentially more accurate AI, but you're also navigating a more hostile information landscape, as the paper puts it. You're getting the raw truth, but without any of the safety guardrails.
That's a fundamental problem. It means the safety systems we have in place are brittle. They hinge on surface-level cues and keywords, not on any real sociolinguistic awareness.
And it raises a really tough ethical question. Is it fair to censor information for one group while exposing another to potentially more raw or even harmful content? Who should decide how sanitized our information is, the user or the AI company?
The paper concludes that this isn't just a minor flaw. It points to a deep structural deficit in how these models are built and aligned for safety. They are structurally starved, as the authors say, of the diverse linguistic data they need to treat all users equitably.
So the big takeaway here is that to build truly fair and safe AI, it's not enough to just filter for bad words or explicit identity terms. We need systems that understand the rich and complex ways that real people actually communicate.
A fascinating and slightly worrying look into the hidden biases of the AI tools so many of us are starting to use. That's all the time we have for today on Daily Papers.